Talking about the sports you do and don't know, both within and surrounding Baltimore. Don't ask him about preseason games, oh no. Stuff and things in Griffin Basso. Despite it being on the internet, he can call it what he wants. So Glenn Clark Radio. Glenn Clark Radio. Glenn Clark Radio. Duke sucks.
But we'll do a little bit of everything. We'll do a couple things. Different when we haven't overloaded the shows with a bunch of, just a parade of players. Because, listen, that's what this has become. It's become an economy of players who want to get paid to hawk products, and that's what they do, and they just line up and hawk products. Well, we're not very much into that stuff, so that's not what we're going to be about as we get ready to hit Atlanta. So we'll try to see what other interesting things we can kind of hook onto.
A buddy of mine turned me onto this product. I tried it for like 3 or 4 months, and I noticed the difference, and I've been taking it ever since.
And they just line up and hawk products. Well, we're not very much into that stuff, so. X-Tech, you wear these guys yet?
Man, I switched out my pads last year.
And they just line up and hawk products. Well, we're not very much into that stuff, so. What do you got going on now?
Okay, today I'm partnering with Genesis. I got to drive this car for about 2 weeks.
It's a nice looking car.
It's a G70.
It's a nice looking car.
They got G80s, G90s.
And they just line up and hawk products. Well, we're not very much into that stuff, so. All right, tell me what you're talking about here, guys.
We're talking about Pure Sports Recovery.
And they just line up and hawk products. Well, we're not very much into that stuff, so. Tell me about this thing you got going on here.
Oh, my, your kids are going to love this.
Yeah, because I know they play their buddies, and I didn't even realize, Merrill, that there was Madden Money, and they play each other, and I didn't even realize this stuff went on, to be honest. And they just line up and hawk products. Well, we're not very much into that stuff, so. All right, what's going on? What do you got going on here?
Well, I'm representing Aztec Pass.
Oh, yeah, I know them well.
Yeah.
I know the guys well, from New Jersey.
Yeah, they're from New Jersey.
Up in my neck of the woods, so I know them
Bob
well.
Broderick and Jack Merritt.
And they just line up and hawk products. Well, we're not very much into that stuff, so. All right, talk about Nutrisys for a minute. You're always doing the Nutrisys stuff. I see everywhere.
So it's been, No,
we've been doing that a long time.
It's been over 10 years now, and
they just line up and hawk products. Well, we're not very much into that stuff, so.
Go to Macy.com. That's the website at Macy, MACI.com.
Good to see you as always, Simon.
Good to see you,
Pleasure
Mike.
to talk to you.
Thanks for having me.
It's not the best piece of audio of the year, but it's the second best piece of the audio all year. I never know who the guy is that ran the Funhouse account, but he had one of the best accounts in all of Twitter. I mean, I'm sure it's still good. I don't know what he does with it now that there's no real Francesa. I think he still does a podcast, maybe.
A podcast about Mike Francesa?
No, I think Francesa still does a podcast, but I don't know if there's enough
still,
content there to dunk on because it's just some podcast. Lord knows.
Looks like he's just dunking on the Wizards and Nets right now.
Well, that's pretty low-hanging fruit.
Yeah. Hey, Trae Young's almost back.
Okay, if you say so.
I guess he's just making fun of other shows.
It's not the same. It's not the same as it was.
Yeah, Cowherd's pretty easy to dunk on. Yeah, that's true.
But yes, that's my second favorite piece of audio. Obviously, when we get to NCAA Tournament Week, we'll share our favorite piece of audio all year. And normally we do it with Drew Forrester here, so glad.
I thought so. Now you did want Drew in today.
It's just weird. That's all it is. It's just weird. He said last week he was going to Florida, but he'd be back.
No, he said he's doing the crap. What did he say he was doing today?
I don't know.
Oh, the polar bear plunge. That's what he said he's doing.
Like in the morning?
I don't know. He just said I won't be here because he blamed it on the plunge.
That's I think a good thing for a good cause. So I guess I'll give him some credit for that. Coming up on the program today, we normally do it on Thursdays, but we're going to catch up with Patrick Stevens today. I guess we'll talk about basketball. I don't know what there is to talk about. Navy. We'll talk about Navy. That's what we'll do. and the lack thereof in college lacrosse season, as it almost feels, in hindsight, like when we did our preview show, that really was kind of the inflection point. I think the coaches were letting us on to what was going to be going on. I know there's going to be some more games that are going to be played this week. I don't think they're all going to be canceled the way that some of the ones were last week. But a lot of them moving to Friday or moving to early next week, or like Maryland Loyola's moving indoors in Maryland's football practice facility. So
Nice facility.
I think I saw it's gonna be first come, first served for who can. We've been in there. There's not a lot of room.
People standing on the sideline or like the over
I have no idea
thing,
where they're
the
gonna
second
put
level?
people in there. I have no clue how that's gonna work. So we'll see. We'll see how that happens. But they're gonna play it indoors on Saturday, and it's just become a bit of a disaster, the start of college lacrosse season. Real issue. So we'll talk to Patrick Stevens also later on in the program. Bob Nightengale, he wrote a little bit more about Framber Valdez. While everyone in baseball had said it was like the Orioles to lose for Framber Valdez, now a lot of conversation about the Blue Jays very much being in the mix for Framber Valdez. So sort of a double whammy possibility. It's the possibility the Orioles don't get him, and he helps the team the Orioles are competing with. So we will talk to Bob Nightengale about how this all ends up playing out for the Orioles and Framber Valdez. That's coming up on the program today. Today's show is brought to you by Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. The biggest game is coming up this Sunday. And there's no better place to watch it than Inside Sports and Social at Live Casino and Hotel with the 100-foot media wall. Great food and drink specials, atmosphere that's unmatched, everyone living and dying on every play in the game, and, of course, you're just steps away from the FanDuel Sportsbook. They're also going to do a lot of giveaways and interactive activities throughout the course of the biggest game. So make sure you're Inside Sports and Social at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland this Sunday for that. You might want to go ahead and think about reserving your tables because I know they go quick. I have so last night I was watching. What was I watching? I realized I had never started. I never started the last season of Only Murders. So
Any good?
This is the way. Like, Only Murders to me is a really well-made show that I don't love. I just appreciate. Right? Like, it's really well made, but it's not like my favorite show. It's one of those shows where I'm like, I feel like I should watch it because lots of people watch it, and I know it's good, but it's just not for me. I don't know how to explain it. So I'm sitting down because I did the science fair with my kids yesterday. It was lovely. My son worked very hard on a project to figure out what the likelihood is of someone getting an autoimmune disease. He and his buddies worked very hard on it.
Wow, changing the world.
It involved, yeah, correct. It's way beyond. I need him to do all the science. I need him to not go down the path that Dad went down. So afterwards, I was like, well, I could go back to the office, but it's already like 4 o'clock. There's no real point to doing that. I don't know. I guess I'll just run to the gym and then I'll go home. But the kid had basketball practice, so they weren't going to get home till later. So I'm sitting down doing some work and watching Only Murders. But whenever the family comes home, I reflexively turn off whatever it is that I'm watching because, like, I guess I always think I'm watching pornography or something like that. I don't know why
usually,
I do this.
Right. That's
like I always, whenever I'm home
memory.
and I have something on and the kids walk in the door, I'm like, oh, got to get that off the TV. Like, there's no reason why they couldn't watch Only Murders in the building, but actually the danger would be that they see me watching it, they watch a little bit of it, and then they're like, I want to watch this. And now it's all screwed up because I'm watching it at the pace that I'm watching it at. They haven't watched the previous seasons. We all share the same Hulu. It's no good. I can't have them be aware of it because it would screw up my pace for watching the show.
You should have them walk in while you're watching The Wire, so that way you can watch The Wire with them. And
right.
That's
a good point.
And really teach them about
think about that.
the history of the city.
That's exactly right. So I said, all right, I got to put on something neutral. That's always what I think about. Like, what's something that I can have on that the kids will.
College basketball, right?
And I go to the ESPN app because that's always what I do. I just go to the ESPN app and whatever's on, whatever game it is, I put it on. And I guess I clicked the wrong thing, and I ended up on the Pro Bowl. Now, I did not watch any of it.
Look at this hypocrite.
No. I did not.
Don't you lie.
Nope. I tell you what I saw. I saw.
Boom.
Did Kyle Hamilton have an interception?
I don't know. I know Patrick Ricard scored a touchdown. That's all I know.
No,
Jamar Chase had a pick 6 as well.
There you go. God bless. But I saw Kyle Hamilton do something, and then I said, Jesus, that's the Pro Bowl. But when I looked up, I said, are they playing in a ballroom? What the hell happened here?
Where were they playing? Were they playing in the San Jose thing? Or
in the convention center, where they were doing like
Media Day?
Media Row.
Okay. So it was the San Jose.
It was basically like playing the lacrosse game inside Maryland football's facility.
Yeah, but that's a full-size field.
I understand that, but there's not room for like that's all they ever.
Right, sure. They're not for fans.
It was wild. Like I understand that it was kind of embarrassing that they couldn't get anybody to go to the Pro Bowl, but like when I say they couldn't get anybody to go, there were still like 20,000 people there the last couple of years. They played it inside a ballroom. What is the point of this?
There's a lot of fans there.
There's not a lot of fans there. No, there's about as many fans as you would have inside a TV studio to watch a taping of Wheel of Fortune. There's nobody there. And that's fine. Like, nobody wants to go. I understand. Like, they are, in a way, they're right-sizing what this event is. They should play it at the same place they play the PLL Championship Series. It has that level of cachet. In fact, it has less cachet. I understand that. But it was the first time that I had this, like, what are we doing? Why? And I'm sure the answer will be because it still ended up getting, slightly better ratings than a college basketball game would get. But why are you fighting to keep this thing that doesn't exist? This thing is beyond dead. But at least in the past you were like, okay, but there's still lots of people that would go look at it. They're not even trying to have people go look at it. They're playing it in an effing ballroom. It's like it's a Thanksgiving week basketball tournament.
That was definitely what I was thinking as well.
It's
down in the Bahamas.
It's hilarious.
They probably prefer to go to the Bahamas.
Like I thought when they moved it to the
look at that. That's Todd Monken's quarterback.
Sure. I thought when they moved it to the stop playing Pro Bowl highlights. No one gives a rat's ass.
We're talking about it.
No, we're talking about how bizarre it is.
This is adding to the.
Yeah. Why?
What we're talking about. This is why we do a shorter show now.
Why are you so desirous of keeping this thing? Because I've been the guy in the past that have said, like, look, man, it's not for me. I'll never watch, but it's for somebody. God bless it. But like, no, I don't care. Stop.
We spent
sharing.
10 minutes on it.
No one cares. God. Why are you fighting to keep this?
It's Jalen Hurts.
If you don't even want people to go to it.
Intercepted by Kyle Hamilton.
Okay. Jesus Christ. There you go. There's my thoughts. That's the list of them. It's hilarious.
The highlight you saw.
They play this thing at the old Towson Center. Like, they play it at
That'd be pretty fun, actually. Although the players wouldn't prefer that with a foot of snow on the.
They play it at Reitz Arena on campus at Loyola. They're like, it's the Pro Bowl.
Owings Mills Gymnasium. That's the.
God, yes, no doubt. It's Stevenson. They play it at Perry Hall High School. I could not believe that's what it's come to for this and why they still fight to do it.
Well, the camera angles were probably better there than. I don't know.
Are you
Yeah,
sure?
Owings Mills Gymnasium's got some pretty good height up there on the second level.
So there's that. The Ravens continued to add to their coaching staff yesterday. Joe Lombardi, former Broncos offensive coordinator, who, of course, worked with Declan Doyle because Declan Doyle was his tight ends coach in Denver. So that Sean Payton connection continues as Joe Lombardi will join the Ravens coaching staff as a senior offensive assistant. And perhaps that helps why we would say, hey, Joe Lombardi wasn't really the offensive coordinator in Denver either, because we all know Sean Payton's really the offensive coordinator. Someone who's got a little bit more coaching experience that can be a resource to Declan Doyle and is very familiar with Declan Doyle and has worked with Declan Doyle for a while. That seems like it can't hurt. seems like that would be a good thing. I can't give you a lot on new running backs coach Eddie Faulkner, but welcome to the club. As Jeff Zrebeck points out, there's still a lot of positions to be filled by the Ravens on the coaching staff, including special teams coordinator, which I guess if it was going to be Anthony Levine, you would assume that would have been done by now. Like,
they
why?
wouldn't elevate Randy Brown or something? Like,
No, he's definitely – they brought him back and said specifically to be –
he's going to be the kicking specialist.
the special teams assistant or whatever the title was. I think he has a job that I think this is like literally a part-time gig for him, working with the Ravens. He used to be the mayor of a town in New Jersey.
Nice.
I mean, I guess. I don't know how big the town was. I don't know if that's still something he does.
Who cares? It's still a thing.
I don't.
It's legit.
I don't think he was ever someone who wanted to be a special teams coordinator. I think he kind of just liked having this gig. And we have obviously seen some names in the mix for some of these other positions, like Ronald Curry was in the mix to be quarterbacks coach. Was he
Evesham Township?
Wide receivers coach. Tyler Tettleton was in the mix to be the quarterbacks coach. So we'll see. We'll see how they fill out those spots. But Joe Lombardi, a veteran, someone with a lot of coaching experience, still no former head coach on the Ravens staff. And I have no idea if that's coming or not, that they're going to add a former head coach. It's something that I think they should do, but believe it or not, they don't just take all of my advice. I think that's silly, but, they do their own thing. I think that's it as far as news is concerned. Oh, there was an NBA trade, right?
Couple, I think, yeah.
Yeah,
James Harden.
James Harden was the one that I was thinking of.
Yeah.
There were more, but James Harden was dealt to Cleveland. I saw somebody doing the Arrested Development bit where they were like, it's never worked for anyone before, but it might work for us. I don't know why the Cavaliers would be interested in James Harden, but they've got James Harden now, so good for them.
And Vucevic to the Celtics. I guess no one cares. I don't know.
No one cares. Now, I want to take a minute to discuss something else that happened today, and just a minute, because I have no personal history with the Washington Post. I never worked there. I obviously have had lots of friends who have worked at the Post. I'm trying to come up with the right word to describe it, because if I say it's embarrassing, I do feel that way. I feel like it's embarrassing for someone to choose to purchase a legacy media outlet to just gut it. Like, you didn't have to purchase it. And when people say, well, it's got to be profitable, as a lot of people pointed out, the Washington Post there wasn't actually a profit problem. Some of the profit problem was because of the bastardized version of the Post that the guy that bought it, Jeff Bezos, tried to make it in attempts to, curry favor with certain political powers. It's embarrassing, but it's tragic more than it's embarrassing. And even though I'm not a Washington sports fan, the truth is the Washington Post, in addition to covering like Maryland and Navy, teams that I do care a great deal about, for years had an Orioles beat writer. Even still recently would have Mark Maskey covering the Ravens regularly. It was the home of John Feinstein, and everything that John Feinstein wrote was important. The Washington Post, look, man, I don't give a rat's ass about Washington, D.C. sports, and yet I found myself going to the D.C. sports bog because Dan Steinberg created something that was compelling and sort of changed sports journalism, where it was still journalism despite the fact that it would dive into areas that maybe would otherwise be covered by Deadspin. This is a shameful day, but it's also a tragic day in the history of journalism. And I know that it's conflicted because I've said before that I think there might be too much sports media coverage, and I raise my hand when I do that. But the Washington Post was one of the places that was doing it correctly. We need more Washington Post and fewer SB Nation, with no disrespect. We need more legitimate journalism. And the Washington Post was a place where they would report on the things that actually mattered. It's a tragic day. It sucks. If you haven't heard, the Washington Post made it official today that they are shuttering their sports department. It's gone. They will occasionally cover sports, sort of like when a local TV news would say, we're not going to have a sports person anymore. We're just going to add, like, if there's a sports story, we'll have the anchor read it. That's kind of what they're going to do with their sports coverage moving forward, is they're just going to sort of throw it in the newspaper. It's not really a newspaper. They'll just throw it in. There won't be a sports department any longer. And that's a loss for everybody. It is a dark day. And we can have a conversation about where newspapers are, but most newspapers that thrive have figured out how to go about coverage. Like, nobody reads a paper anymore. We all know that. But people still read something. Like, we still read things on the internet. We still want solid analysis. Other quote-unquote newspapers, like the Baltimore Banner is a newspaper that's never printed anything. There is no print version of the Baltimore Banner. It does not exist. But yet they exist as a newspaper because we understand what they're doing. And they're doing multimedia, and they're doing really good work. So, yeah, this sucks. It sucks. And it's beyond, whatever coverage we'll lose out on Maryland or Navy or the teams that I do care about. It just sucks for the sports journalism world. It's a dark freaking day. And just wanted to get that off my chest because I'm really bummed out about it. And obviously thinking of the many, many people that I know that are affected by that. Wednesday edition of the program is also brought to you by County Sports Zone. CountySports.zone is the website for everything you need to know about high school sports here in the state of Maryland. Scores, schedules, polls, rankings, everything you need to know. Every sport, every team, every part of the state, they've got you covered. CountySports.zone, proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. Normally on Thursdays, but we mixed it up this week after we did the college lacrosse preview show that kind of wasn't last week. Joining us now from USA Lacrosse Magazine and Blue Ribbon, amongst other places, he's our friend Patrick Stevens. He's with us here on GCR. Patrick, good morning, sir. How are you?
I am well, Glenn. How are you?
I'm all right. I guess let's start. I mean, I don't even know where to start. Let's start with lacrosse. It's funny because, as I told you, when we did that last week, my intent was not to turn that show into, how do we fix February lacrosse? But the coaches took it in that direction because they obviously were quite aware of what was about to happen and what was coming. Is this an inflection point now that we're going to look back on, or is this just, hey, they'll make it work for a year, and next year they'll just hope for the best and everything will remain status quo?
So it's funny. I'm actually working on something on this for LaxMag this week, so it's good that you bring it up. And I've talked to a few coaches. Actually just got off the phone with another chat with Chris Ryan from up at the Mount because they had a game that was supposed to be at the Mount, and they moved it to Queens, and it got postponed anyway. And then this week they're playing LIU, and it was supposed to be Saturday, and now it's on Friday. You really do need like one of those personal organizers to figure out what all is going on in the season. So when you look at the NCAA manual and the bylaws, it basically says the season is allowed to start. The first day of competition is 16 Saturdays before the Saturday before the national title game, which is a fancy way of saying essentially like 16 weeks plus 2 days before Memorial Day. Right. So essentially there's three things that can happen if you want to alter what we're dealing with right now in the sport of lacrosse. A, you change the bylaw to make, allow people to start later, which is something that coaches cannot do unilaterally. So it's not going to be easy to jump through all the hoops that we talked about last week, whether it has to deal with paying for people to be on campus for a couple extra weeks, with food and lodging and whatnot, or television windows, or you name it, right? Your other two options, coaches do have some control over. They can either play fewer games, just start later and just say, okay, well, those 2 Saturdays or 3 Saturdays at the start of the season, we're just not going to make those up. Or you can play midweek games. And that's basically the options there. Mm-hmm. And so I suspect that we're going to hear, certainly from some people, a little bit more willingness to play midweek games. Maybe not at every spot on the calendar, but on more spots on the calendar. Do I think that's going to impact your higher end teams as much? My guess is not. But I also think that if you are a school like a Mount St. Mary's, you have more incentive to not play this thing on February 1st. It's funny. One of the things Chris Ryan just told me is, like, he's looking out the window and saying, man, it's been a tough start to the spring. And he's like, except that spring doesn't come for another month and a half from now.
Correct.
And so this sort of encroachment, I talked to Joe Amplo earlier. I said, do you remember the date that your first game was as the head coach at Marquette, his first game as a head coach? And this is in like 2013. It was February 23rd. I mean, that's not that long ago. Now, there have been games that have been played this early for a while now, but most teams just didn't take you up on the opportunity to play on February 1st. So I do think at minimum, the fact that this has impacted everybody, this isn't simply, oh, well, this is just a power conference school type thing, or this is just something that impacts schools that don't have much money or whatever. This is universal. And the irony that like Denver and Air Force might be the schools least impacted by this is kind of funny too. Funny, yeah. So I think at minimum it's going to be something that gets discussed. Of course, if nothing happens this year and things go back and everybody does the same thing next year and it's a mild winter, then everybody's going to say, oh, well, it was just a one-off.
Right.
Who knows? But I think in general, let's face it, like playing lacrosse on February 1st isn't good for if you're sitting there watching it. It's not good if you're sitting there playing it. It's really bad if you're standing on the sideline and you don't have anywhere to go or move, like you're just standing in the cold. And the quality of play generally isn't all that great. I think in so many ways, at minimum, this is sort of coaches being told, well, this is what you get for insisting upon, one game a week and
right.
basically playing as early as you can.
Well, and as you and I talked about, it would seem to me like the conference play specifically, when you can minimize the rest factor, it would seem like conference games should be able to play midweek. But as we discussed, there's just going to be conferences going to say, but we don't want to. Like, we just don't want to.
Now, I also think, and I didn't really think of bringing this up when we talked last week about it, but if you have a 6-team league like, say, the Big Ten, or a 5-team league like the ACC, well, it's a little easier. You're already truncated into 4 or 5 weeks, right? Like basically 5 weeks, because in the ACC you've got a bye that everybody has to take. It's in a league like the Patriot League where you have 9 teams, 8 league games, Metro Atlantic, 9 teams, 8 league games, where it would probably be helpful to have at least one of those every year. And so, again, you're going to we've talked about it last week. You're going to have coaches start talking about the unfairness of this or that. Like if they had to go play a weekend at one place, but not the other. And so you have to sort of coddle them a little bit on that. But I think sort of assuaging those complaints would go a long way to getting this to the point where the season makes more sense than it does right now.
One team did play. And Johns Hopkins looked really good, but I don't know if there's anything to learn from a matchup on a Monday in the bitter cold against Bobby Moe.
No, I don't know that there is, other than that Hopkins is a bit young.
Yep.
They started 3 freshmen. It's the first time since 2002 that Hopkins has started 3 freshmen in a season opener. The names from back then Kyle Harrison, Kyle Berry, Peter Lesor, Chris Watson, basically like the foundation of a championship team.
So that sounds like pretty good names on it.
Those are some really good names.
Yeah.
So if Peter Milliman is hoping probably for a rerun of that, sending out Max Wickersham and Parker Sorensen and Dash Lamity in that game. Did we learn a whole lot? I mean, like, is it really shocking that Matt Collison would go out and score 5 goals against a team that probably, I think both teams probably had their prep altered a bit by all of this. Overall, I think if you're Hopkins, you're thrilled that you went out and scored 17 goals, and that was, it was 15 goals at the end of the third quarter. I mean, they were really, really rolling. They actually, I thought, Hopkins played a fairly clean game for it being February 2nd. 10 turnovers. I think you're generally going to take that at any time of the year. Didn't commit a face-off violation. Only 1 bungled clear. Scored on all 3 extra man opportunities. Only 1 penalty. Like, you go down and start checking the boxes. There's a lot to like there that is not entirely opponent dependent, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think if you're Hopkins, that's a good first step. Now, slightly tougher task coming up on Saturday, assuming he gets played on Saturday against Georgetown, especially with all these games going inside or moving to Friday. Maryland just announced it's moving indoors into for 2:30 on Saturday. Navy is going to play Iona on Friday instead of Saturday now.
We will continue to watch that and see all of the various schedule changes that might happen in what we hope will be week 1, week 2. I don't even know what we call these weeks anymore. In lacrosse, we deal with it. Patrick Stevens with us here on GCR. I'll pose this to you because we've been kind of dancing around it. I have sensed there have been more vocal frustrations and some more stories written, not about the struggles of Maryland basketball, because, come on, what did you think was going to happen as they played Purdue? Although, I don't know. I mean, there is something to be said for losing 4 games by 30-plus points. Like, that is uniquely bad, obviously.
Here's the number on that front.
Okay.
Maryland has lost 4 30-point games this season. Over the previous 20 seasons combined, they had lost 4 30-point games.
All right, so there you go. There you go. It is uniquely bad, but I do feel like the frustration is being taken out more on – right, it's one thing to be bad, it's another thing to be bad, and this disconnected. And it feels like that there's more venting from around the program about the relationship between Buzz Williams and the school and the community. And I would tell you in my dealings and conversations, it seems quite fair, some of these frustrations that are being taken out.
And they were entirely predictable, too.
Yeah.
Given the fact that this is just how the guy operates. This is how he's operated everywhere. I got to tell you, like, he's probably not going to change.
Yeah.
And so I would say that the interesting thing is, and you remember we talked about this last March, about how I thought one of the most important things with that job opening, and you can probably mouth the words as I'm getting ready to say it. Maryland, because it had asked so much and given so little for the most part over the last 20 years, and I know, they made a Sweet 16 last year, but it asked so much and given so little to its fans, both in football and in men's basketball over the last 20 years, in terms of conference tournament titles, in terms of conference regular season titles. There's 2 shared of those, 2 Sweet 16s, nothing beyond that. People wanted to feel like they were part of something special. And that's not what they're getting right now. And when you look at Virginia Tech and Texas A&M, I mean, those are basketball programs, and they've existed, and they've had good moments, and they've had players that people look back fondly on and all that. But they did not mean as much in those communities, which, in those departments, which are very football-centric, compared to Maryland. And this is a place where basketball matters. It's a place where feeling invested in it matters. And when you basically scoop up the previous program and replace it with something entirely new, with all due respect to Lucas Sotel, it is not surprising that people don't feel like they're part of something special and don't feel like they're connected to something. And so you have created an extremely transactional scenario where the only thing that you're really going to get people on board with is if you win a bunch.
Right. And a
All
bunch.
right?
And a
Like,
bunch.
that's
Right.
it.
Like that to me is the point that gets missed.
Not 20 and 13 and
Right.
losing in the
Right.
second round of the NCAA tournament.
Right. Agreed. And I don't know how that's happening. I don't know how that occurs.
Well, I mean, it's certainly not happening this year.
Well, obviously.
But
I don't think they're winning in the second round of the Big Ten tournament.
Did they get to the second round of the Big Ten tournament? It's an equally valid
Yes,
question.
Correct.
So that is a really tough spot to find yourself in, and that is probably that is not I don't think that's something that's in the current staff's playbook as to how to deal with, where you are it is entirely contingent on that, and you have people that want more than simply victories. They want to be able to identify with players over multiple years, which is harder obviously now. But they want to feel like I don't feel like Maryland is to the extreme as, say, Memphis, where I think Memphis is the one program in all the country where their fans would rather win 20 games with a bunch of guys from Memphis than 30 games with a bunch of guys from elsewhere.
That's interesting.
Okay, like that is a really, really parochial program. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I just think that's just the way it is.
That's what they care about, right?
Okay, they care about local guys. And there's always been so much talk, and you and I have talked about this on air and especially off air, about how much does, that local element matter. And I always said, well, look at the national title team. There were two local guys in Lonnie and Juan.
Yeah,
they happen
to be the most
guys.
important, right? Yes.
But most of that rotation wasn't
New
from around
Jersey or Florida or
Yeah. So Louisiana, North Carolina, you name it. So I don't think it is quite to that extreme, but you also have to have some kind of connection. Yeah. You have to have some kind of sense of place. And I watch them, and it's like, brother, this ain't Maryland. Like, there's even part of a voiceover that they have, in their intro video, and they're talking about physicality and toughness. That's what Maryland's about. And I'm like, when has that been what Maryland's about in the basketball program? Like, have you watched any Maryland basketball in the last 50 years?
Right.
Like, when you think about great Maryland teams, you think about like athleticism, and you think about pressing. I mean, in particular the Gary Williams teams. But you think about high skill level. You don't think about just like mauling somebody in the paint unless you absolutely had to do it.
Right.
And not that Maryland didn't have guys that did do those sorts of things. But when you thought about Maryland, that sort of rugged, let's win games 63-62.
No.
That is not what Maryland basketball is about. Even if that's what you put in a highlight video or hype video, and find somebody to actually say that in some interview.
Well said. Well said. Navy continues to be the team most worthy of everyone's attention at the moment.
Yeah, I think they certainly are pretty much at the top of the list. Although we have some other interesting teams around here, but Navy now 17-6 after handling Loyola by 16 on Saturday. They didn't have a great game last Wednesday against BU. Spotted the Terriers in early league, came back and won that one by 8. So you can sit there and say they didn't have a great game. They still won by 8 on the road to complete a sweep. They've still won 13 out of 14. So Navy now 2 games up on the rest of the Patriot League. And they still have 2 games to play against second-place Colgate. So, there's a lot of separation there. They're already 5 up on 5th place. So I think we can safely say Navy's going to finish in the top half of the league. But they are the team, especially with what they've been doing on the defensive end, that has really created some separation in the Patriot League. I'll also point out that we got to see UMBC. Didn't win at Albany or didn't win at Vermont, but did beat Albany. They're halfway home in the America East at 6-2 and tied atop the league. And so, that's a good sign for them, I think. And they get a Binghamton team that's really struggled this season. And also want to point out
Morgan.
A team that Morgan State has suddenly won 5 in a row after beating Coppin on Saturday. They'd had a couple 1-point wins the weekend before, so they've lived a little dangerously. Their first 4 conference victories came by a combined 8 points. 9 points. Sorry, 8 points. Sorry, I'm looking at KenPom here trying to explain that. So they are I don't know how great they are, but they are 5-2 in the league. And Alfred Worrell, they've clearly found a legitimate scorer with 23, 23, 33, and 24 in his last 4 games.
Wow.
The Southern Miss transfer. So Morgan, right there, only a game out at the turn in MEAC play. So certainly a team worth keeping an eye on. They've got 5 of their last 7 at home, including Saturday against Maryland Eastern Shore at Hill Fieldhouse.
All right, I've got 2 pitchers for you this week for Ken Patrick Stevens name the teams because they're both more difficult than I realized they were. So we'll just go with these 2. They were both All-Stars, but I think they were both only All-Stars once. They were both starting pitchers. I will begin someone who I know has been in coaching as well, I think, in recent years, and someone who I thought had a better career. Like when I was thinking about it, I was like, man, that guy was a star, but that didn't last very long. 7 teams for Ricky Bones.
Ricky Bones, all right. 1994 Brewers, right?
Yeah, he was with the Brewers in 94. There was a stop, and that was his All-Star, you're right. There was a stop before the Brewers, actually.
Oh, wow. He was in San Diego
that
before
was
there,
the
right?
stop before the Brewers. Oh, boy. This could be a Who was the one last week that, like, we've given you ball?
Heathcliff Slocum.
And all of a sudden, Patrick just names all of the teams for Heathcliff Slocum. I'm like, what the hell? All right.
So Ricky Bones was definitely a Royal, right?
Most certainly was for 2 years.
And he was a Marlin, correct?
For 2 years as well.
He had a brief Baltimore stop.
He had a brief
right?
Baltimore stop in 1999. He made 2 starts.
Okay.
He did pitch in 30
2
games. He pitched out of the
2 more teams for Ricky Bones. I think I'm going to struggle here to the end.
Yeah, okay, but you've already gone 5 for 7 on Ricky Bones. So
okay, so was he a Met?
Oh no,
he was not a Met. Was he a Red?
He was a Red for 1 year. That's 6 for 7 on Ricky Bones.
Was the Yankees?
It was the Yankees. Oh my God, that's unbelievable.
I think he coached with the Mets. I think I probably got. I know he was in D.C.
Yeah, he was definitely in Nationals, and it was the Mets. You're right. For a decade, he was pitching coach in New York. That is wild. All right, 3 teams for another one-time All-Star. Again, someone who I thought was better than he was. Did win a World Series, Jose Rijo.
Jose Rijo was a Yankee at the very beginning.
That's right.
Oakland and Cincinnati, including the comeback.
I had no recollection of him as a Yankee whatsoever. None. 0 on.
So he was one of the key pieces in the Ricky Henderson deal.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that would hang on a second.
Like he made the majors at like 18, and back then, every time the Yankees had a prospect that was worth anything, like Steinbrenner would immediately trade him. So
Yankees traded Jose Rijo, Eric Plunk, Tim Burtsis, Jay Howell, and Stan Javier to the Athletics for Ricky Henderson and Burt Bradley. Well done, sir. What's the schedule look like?
Heading to Georgetown tonight. They play Creighton, Mount St. Mary's, and Merrimack on Thursday. I think I might catch Navy lacrosse on Friday. They play Iona. Saturday is going to be a Georgetown Villanova game early. See Kevin Willard back in town. Maybe some Maryland fans will come by and bring him some good cheer. Possible second game that day. We'll see. So there's a little bit coming up.
Bring him some good cheer. Maybe they'll say they miss him. Maybe that's what they'll say at this point. They might be saying that to Mark Turgeon when Kansas City visits at some point.
And by the way, I'm really happy for Mark because I know we've talked about this a number of times, and I know that most Maryland fans are not on my side on this one. I thought that even though it was clear by the end that Mark was, and frankly probably clear by the middle, that Mark was not going to be the guy that got them to the promised land. There is something to be said for having a coach that delivers a high floor year in and year out, where you're going to have a legitimate shot every year of making the NCAA tournament and not have to deal with a massive rebuild or a team that simply has something that they cannot do. Now, granted, some of his teams turned it over too much, and I think that's a fair criticism. But, when you look at the last 5 years for Maryland, and one of those was one where he started the season as head coach, but there's 3 lost seasons out of 5 in there.
Yeah.
And, you look at what his teams were for his decade as full seasons. I'm not sure. I mean, there were teams that his first team obviously didn't have a whole lot to work with and struggled, but most of those teams had hope at some point and had people interested into January, if not deeper into the season than that. So I'm happy that Mark gets another shot at this. I know he's been consulting with American and Towson in recent years, but happy that he gets this opportunity. Happy that he probably is going to get the chance to work with his son as well out at Kansas City, and that's only an hour from where he grew up.
Right.
So that's a really cool thing all around. That's not an easy job, but when you look at his background, like those, his teams were never terrible, and so I'm optimistic that assuming that he can deal with the more, the state of college basketball in 2026, which, there's a lot of coaches that have his age that have gotten out because of that stuff. I'm hopeful that if that isn't too much of an issue, or there's other people that are largely dealing with that he can have a really fulfilling chapter there out of Kansas City.
Well said, sir. At Discourse, D1S Course on Twitter and Blue Sky. That's how you give him a follow. Patrick, always appreciate you, pal. We'll talk to you next Thursday, all right?
Awesome, Glenn. Take care.
It's Patrick Stevens with us, as he is every week on GCR Talking College Sports. We'll come back in. Is Framber Valdez going to end up being an Oriole? We'll ask Bob Nightengale next on GCR. Get in the game with Volo Sports. With over 15 sports to choose from, join a league or grab a Volo membership for discounted play, free daily pickups, fitness classes, and exclusive events. But the best part? A portion of every league fee helps the Volo Kids Foundation provide free sports to over 5,000 kids across Baltimore City each year. Don't miss out. Early pricing for the winter season ends December 12th. Final registration deadline is January 15th. Sign up now at volosports.com/Baltimore.
At Live, we want to say thanks to our community with our biggest giveaway yet. Thanks a Million free slot play giveaway. Join us every Friday in February for your chance to win a share of $1 million in free play, including a grand prize of $75,000 in free play. You could be one of 25 winners each week. So what are you waiting for? Thanks a Million, only at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. At Arundel Mills. Must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
The weather's getting cooler, so when you and your family are picking out a place to dine, be it lunch or dinner, let's make it nice and easy. Now, with 2 great locations, the Costas Inn remains your #1 destination. Whether you want to get steamed crabs and the full Costas menu out at the original location at 4100 North Point Boulevard, or sample the complete menu minus the steamed crabs at the new location above the grandstand at the Timonium Racetrack. Costas is your place to go. Check out the website, CostasInn.com, for a look at the menu, and if you want to plan that crab feast, call 410-477-1975. The Costas Inn.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Looking for Baltimore's premier waterfront dining experience? Head to Nick's Fish House, located in the Baltimore Peninsula. Enjoy crabs all year long, plus happy hour Monday through Thursday from 3 to 6. Planning a celebration? From rehearsal dinners to corporate crab feasts, Nick's is the spot to make it unforgettable. And the fun doesn't stop there. Live music fills the air every Thursday through Sunday. Check out the full lineup at nicksfishhouse.com. Nick's, it's where Baltimore comes to eat, drink, and play by the water.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
Coming back in here with Glenn and the other guy, Garrett, whatever his name is. You know who they are.
All right, back in here on GCRs, continue along on a Wednesday edition of the program. I swear, we will get back to Would You Rather Wednesday. It will happen. I promise. It's going to occur at some point. It's not a permanent thing. I've had people ask. I'm just trying to refresh, maybe change what we're giving away, stuff like that. But we will get back to it at some point here moving forward. In the meantime, we continue to discuss what's going on and really what's not going on, because as Bob Nightengale wrote for the USA Today, it really is quite perplexing why here we are a week away from the start of the season and Framber Valdez remains a free agent and unsigned. He says in the survey that he did that the Baltimore Orioles remain the heavy favorites to sign Framber Valdez. So let's talk a little bit more about it. He, of course, is the aforementioned Bob Nightengale, covers Major League Baseball for USA Today, and he is with us now here on GCR. Bob, it's Glenn. It's always great to catch up with you. Thank you for taking the time for us.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you, Glenn.
Bob, I want to, because there's one part, and you brought it up, and a lot of people have brought it up recently, and I do wonder, like, how much of it matters, because there's this part of me that says, I certainly don't love the idea that Framber Valdez may have intentionally crossed up his catcher to hit him in the chest. Like, that sounds awful. But what do we know about that, and do we know anything about what role that might be playing into why the market hasn't been there for Framber Valdez?
Well, it's had to have some impact. If it didn't, his agent wouldn't have trot him out at the GM meetings and have him meet with individual teams to kind of explain what happened in that incident. So, he's had some temper, and this one was, so widespread, and, they apologized and said it was a miscommunication. But, we all saw the video, it looked like something was done intentionally out of anger. So I think it's a factor. And I'm saying it's the biggest factor, but I do think, that he's thrown a lot of innings the last, 4 years, and, we don't know what he's asking for, but if you're Framber Valdez and you saw that Dylan Cease got 7 years at 210, you're thinking I got to be in that same ballpark. So right now it's probably just a stare down game, like with a lot of these other free agents out there, like waiting to see if someone blinks and gives him what he wants.
In doing your survey, Bob, do you get the sense that the Orioles are the favorites simply because they're the team that makes the most sense? Like they're the team that said they were going to go get top-line starting pitching that hasn't, that, can make an argument for being a contender with it, but it's tougher without it? Or is it more that, like, you genuinely feel like the Orioles have zeroed in on Framber Valdez and are hell-bent on landing him?
Yeah, I don't know about hell-bent landing him, but they certainly want him the most. I mean, he's the best guy out there. Then you're talking to different executives and stuff. I mean, not only, like you said, the Orioles need him to complete their winter, or else it's, they're not going to, challenge for the AL East. Is that they've also heard too that the Orioles have been deep in talks and in serious talks with them. That they've had a lot of discussions, trying to get this thing done. We've seen it before. I mean, the Phillies were deep in talks all winter with Bryce Harper that year, and it sat until spring training. But the thing is, when you're a pitcher, it's one thing to sign in the spring training or position player. As a pitcher, we've seen a lot of ill effects from it. Guys, whether it was Blake Snell years ago with the Giants, Jordan Montgomery with the Diamondbacks. You need those 6 weeks. You're not quite the same pitcher if you don't get them.
No doubt about it. I think that's one of the bigger concerns. Bob Nightengale is with us here on GCR. Bob, I think the other thing, like I think a lot of people have asked, at some point does Framber Valdez, come off what he's looking for, maybe take something short term. But I wonder if that's unique for a 32-year-old, where like you can't do another. This has to be the time that you swing for one more major deal. Is there any world where Framber Valdez ends up coming down for something shorter term to try to get back into free agency again soon?
No, I mean, I think the best thing for him would be if it is a shorter term, say say 3 or 4 years, maybe 5, is that he gets an opt-out after 1 or 2 years. But if you're a team, you got to give up a draft pick by signing him. So you don't want to give up a draft pick if the guy's only going to stick around for 1 year. So I'm sure that's been discussed too. With him and other teams, it's like when's the opt-out language start? Can he do it 1 year? We saw the Dodgers just signed Kyle Tucker to a 4-year deal. But, the opt-out, it doesn't start till after 2 years.
Right.
They didn't want to pay that kind of money after just one and lose a draft pick.
He is, it's funny, too, because I'm trying to get the sense of, is it that he's, like, looking for that break the bank? I think we all know now that the Dylan Cease thing was the anomaly, right? It was the, hey, we understand that we have to pay a tax because we're the Blue Jays and it's Canada. We get it. We'll just do it. We don't care. Is that still the problem here? It feels like enough of the rest of the market has been set that, like, we know that's not that's a unique circumstance. Is the thought maybe the Blue Jays might be willing to do it again?
Blue Jays could. I mean, the Blue Jays were offering $350 million to Kyle Tucker, so we know they have the money. And they got a couple of free agents, Kevin Gausman and Bieber are going to be free agents in a year. So they're definitely in the mix. But I'm sure, if you're Valdez, you're saying, wait a minute now. He's got 7 years at 210. Ranger Suarez got 5 years at 130. He's got to be somewhere in between those. He's just smart to take that money thinking, okay, I'm not going to do any better. Jump the market and it paid off. Good for him. Smart move by, him and his agent.
I wonder, Bob, if there is an argument to be made that the Orioles similarly need to pay a tax. That for them, even if they're negotiating against themselves, the way perhaps the Blue Jays were with Dylan Cease, they should be willing to do that because of their unwillingness to draft and develop pitchers in the Mike Elias regime, that they uniquely, unlike some of these other teams, have to do it, and that even if they feel like they're paying beyond market value or beyond what they should, maybe they should be more willing to that to make up for what they haven't done in terms of developing pitching.
Yeah, that's similar blueprint to what the Houston Astros did. The Astros traded for Garrett Cole, they traded for Justin Verlander, that sort of thing. It's hard for them to get. They didn't really sign those free agent pitchers. But in your Mike Elias case, okay, you give up a draft pick, and so be it. You got a ton of prospects anyway. It's just money. But I think, and I'm sure they're thinking, hey, we don't want to bid against ourselves. Are we, as they want to get top our bid, we're standing out there. So it's almost like, okay, at some point, he's got to make a decision here in the next week or so. Okay, am I going to do any better than this? Maybe I could tweak the contract with, depending on opt-outs and that sort of thing. So I think he's a perfect fit for the Orioles. And I think if the Orioles sign this guy, all of a sudden, man, they got as good chances anyway to be back where they were 2 years ago and win that division.
Let's talk about that a little bit more. If you were a handicapper, what do you think the percentage chances at this point that he ends up a Baltimore Oriole?
I would think let's say like 75%.
Wow.
And I'm not going to rule out the Blue Jays just because they have the money and they could use another arm in there, but I do think it's between them and the Blue Jays. But I'll give them the 75% chance over Toronto. And everybody has said all along they got to get another big time starter. And remember now they were on Suarez. They lost out in Ranger Suarez. So we know they have the money and they have the desire.
So I know you alluded to in the column that you're high on what the Orioles have done so far this offseason. And look, Pete Alonso is one of the biggest no-brainers that anyone could ever make. That was such a good move for the Orioles. I'm not as high on Taylor Ward, but I do get it, and I think he could be helpful. And we'll see how some of the Ryan Helsley hopefully has washed out whatever happened in New York last year and looks like the better version of Ryan Helsley. But what is the difference to you, Bob, between the Orioles with a Framber Valdez and the Orioles without a Framber Valdez? Because I've sort of said it like as I think they have Framber Valdez, they have a legitimate chance to win the division, and who knows after that point. But without Framber Valdez, they look to me sort of like an 84 type of win team that could fight for a playoff spot.
Yeah, I'm with you in the theory. I do think if they don't have Valdez, I mean, they're going to get somebody. So if you don't get Valdez, go get Giolito or, somebody like that. And I think they're a better than 84-win team. I do think they bounce back. I think some guys had some lousy years that will bounce back. And, like you said, they do have Alonso now. So I think they could still win, without Valdez, 86, 87. Now, I think with Valdez, they get a chance to, go over the 90 mark. But I just think if you get Valdez, all of a sudden, hey, it's a two-team race on paper between them and the Blue Jays. Who wins the AL East? I think without Valdez, okay, they got a good chance to make the playoffs as a wild card team, but they're not as good as the Blue Jays.
Is there, you bring up like Giolito, is there one of that other group that you would say if Valdez is just not coming to Baltimore for whatever reason, that this is the biggest difference maker of the rest of the pitchers that could be available?
I think so. I mean, just, anything can happen, obviously. I mean, Giolito is he's had his ups and downs, been a good pitcher. And you can certainly pivot to Zach Gallen. I mean, Gallen has been talking to the Orioles as well.
I know, but you're out there, obviously, in Arizona. How do you explain what happened to Zach Gallen last year? Is he still a top of the rotation type of pitcher?
He is, and he loves the spotlight, big games. He was, I want to say 3-0 with a sub 1.5 or maybe even sub 1 ERA against the Yankees and Mets last year. Philadelphia-born kid, in that area. So the spotlight won't affect him. I just think stuff got in his head. I don't know what he was doing. Maybe he thought too much about about free agency. He did have a very good second half. A durable guy. He doesn't try to throw 100 miles an hour every pitch. He reminds me of a lot of Maddox in the sense we're just a very sharp, shrewd guy. Is always thinking, and he can paint the corners. Fun guy to be around. So. I like him a lot. I don't think he's Valdez, but I think he's certainly the next best free agent pitcher out there.
Okay. I mean, I look, obviously, when he's been at his best, he's definitely been that type of guy. It's just very perplexing to figure out because I certainly wasn't watching every game what happened a season ago. Bob, is there still anything? I know, obviously, the Peralta thing is off the table. Like, are the Twins, is that still at all possible? Or is there any trade that's still conceivable for starting pitching before this thing gets moving?
I don't see it. Not anyone that's good. The Twins can't do anything now. I mean, there's a PR disaster there. The new owner has said that, hey, we want to win. We want to win right now. So, hey, come All-Star game or so, it can happen, but it's certainly not going to happen now. So I think as far as trade-wise, the big boy is already off the block.
All right, that's the answer to that. It is odd, right, because the Orioles do still have it. I would say it's a good problem to have, but they do still sort of have this log jam where they've got a catcher, they've got a first baseman, they've just paid another catcher who's got to play, they paid him a bunch of money, and there's still a Kobe Mayo and Ryan Mountcastle still on the roster. Like, they do have this sort of weird log jam of kind of positionless bats that you thought they might do something with at some point, but it's looking more and more like they're just going to have to figure it out and have a bunch of positionless bats on the roster.
Yeah, exactly. And then, hey, come trade deadline time or, maybe even before then, June, then teams say, okay, we're not going to, be in this thing, like the Minnesota Twins, let's jump and make a trade. So they certainly have the pieces to do whatever they want. I mean, the farm system, is as powerful as anybody's. So they're still a great position, and the team they start with, and they're going to improve on that at the trade deadline. I mean, I see no reason why the Orioles aren't going to bounce right back and be in the postseason. I just think it helps their chances a whole lot more if they get a Valdez. If not Valdez, maybe Gallen is that answer.
It's a very interesting. We'll see how that all plays out. At B Nightengale, of course, is how you follow him, and USA Today, usatoday.com is where you see all of his stuff. Bob Nightengale, always appreciate you, sir. Thank you for taking the time for us this morning.
Sure, my pleasure. Thank you, guys. Take care.
Bob Nightengale with us here on GCR. 75% he puts the odds at for the Orioles to end up with Framber Valdez. I just keep coming back to, if Framber Valdez was going to be an Oriole, why wouldn't he be an Oriole? I have not spent a lot of time thinking about what was the name of the catcher in Houston that he hit in the chest? What was the?
Was it Maldonado? I don't know.
It wasn't Maldonado.
Was it Maldonado?
It was. Oh man. Come on. I'll tell you in a second too. Hang on. It was
Cesar Salazar.
Cesar Salazar, who he hit in the chest. And I get it. You look at it and you're like, man, that do not look great. I mean, it really looks bad. He said afterwards that he had told reporters that he had apologized to Salazar and claimed it was merely a result of him getting crossed up. It just looks so bad. Yeah, you got it. This is I think I don't know what the Astros network is to know who to credit. I apologize.
City Sports or something.
If you say so. I think it's all going to be MLB here in a minute.
Yeah. Yeah, we're just watching it.
So yeah, he gives up. This is the grand slam. He gives up the grand slam, and the thought is that he's pissed off about giving up the grand slam. And the reaction is obviously so much worse, right? Like, the reaction from the catcher is, that's not getting crossed up. Like, this looks bad. Now, you're torn because that can't, if that's the case, it cannot happen. Like, you cannot have that occur. That's so wildly unacceptable, I don't know where to start. I don't know enough about, when you say he has anger issues. Roger Clemens had anger issues, right? Like, serious anger issues. We remember pretty high-profile anger issues from Roger Clemens. You'd still want Roger Clemens pitching for your team. So I need to know more. Are there more examples of him? Because there's a big difference in potentially physically harming your teammate and being angry. Like, I just would want to know a little bit more about that. I still don't think any of it would make me say I don't want Framber Valdez on my team. I don't think.
When you and your family are picking out a place to dine, be it lunch or dinner, let's make it nice and easy. Now, with 2 great locations, the Costas Inn remains your #1 destination. Whether you want to get steamed crabs and the full Costas menu out at the original location at 4100 North Point Boulevard, or sample the complete menu minus the steamed crabs at the new location above the grandstand at the Timonium Racetrack. Costas is your place to go. Check out the website, costasinn.com, for a look at the menu, and if you want to plan that crab feast, call 410-477-1975. The Costas Inn.
Get in the game with Volo Sports. With over 15 sports to choose from, join a league or grab a Volo membership for discounted play, free daily pickups, fitness classes, and exclusive events. But the best part? A portion of every league fee helps the Volo Kids Foundation provide free sports to over 5,000 kids across Baltimore City each year. Don't miss out. Early pricing for the winter season ends December 12th. Final registration deadline is January 15th. Sign up now at volosports.com/Baltimore.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
The latest edition of PressBox is available now. and it's our annual Best of issue, celebrating the top people, performances, and moments of 2025 in local sports. On the cover, we recognize 4 of the most significant athletes of the year: Orioles pitcher Trevor Rogers, Navy quarterback Blake Horvath, Maryland basketball star Derek Queen, and our 2025 Mo Gabba Sports Person of the Year, Ravens safety Kyle Hamilton. Pressbox is available for free at over 250 locations throughout the region, including your Baltimore area High's Dairy stores. Plus, you can read the entire issue online at PressBoxOnline.com, where you can also find great betting advice and the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps.
At Live, we want to say thanks to our community with our biggest giveaway yet. Thanks a Million free slot play giveaway. Join us every Friday in February for your chance to win a share of $1 million in free play, including a grand prize of $75,000 in free play. You could be one of 25 winners each week. So what are you waiting for? Thanks a Million, only at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland at Arundel Mills. Must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Contrary to what some people believe, I actually like this guy when he sleeps. Glenn Clark, talking sports.
I was reminded that there was another sports-related round in trivia on Monday nights. It was a 3-parter. The answers to these questions involve athlete-sponsored products. Number 1, which company,
Subway.
which sells drinks in 22-ounce cans, has drinks named after golfers Arnold Palmer and Jack Nicklaus?
Arizona.
Of course, it's Arizona. Yes. Should have been. Yes. I'll give you number 3, because to me that was the second easiest of the group. Shaquille O'Neal has been a spokesperson for which auto insurance company ever since he was a college student that was looking for affordable insurance?
He's been.
John knows.
John
knows.
An auto insurance.
Easy one.
Say it again.
Shaquille O'Neal has been a spokesperson for which auto insurance company ever since he was a college student?
The General, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Did you hear John yell it from the other room?
No, I didn't.
And then this one, I admit, a little bit different, a little bit more difficult, but not. I mean, I got it pretty quickly. In the 1970s, which athlete was quoted as saying, quote, "If I played in New York, they'd name a candy bar after me," unquote.
What year was this?
In the 1970s, which athlete was quoted as saying, "If I played in New York, they'd name a candy bar after me"?
So is it a baseball player? I don't know the answer to this. So
I forgot that the Olympics started today. I forgot.
Oh, they did, really?
Yeah, there's some skiing.
There's
no curling. If it was curling, we would have been all over it. Tomorrow is when the curling
sounds like something John Lowenstein would say.
John Lowenstein? What?
I don't know who would say that. Was it baseball?
It's a big context clue.
Well, Baby Ruth, I guess, is what he's referring to. So that's why I'm like baseball. But you're saying no?
I'm not telling you anything. Saying the context.
Okay, well, I'm telling you I don't know.
Would be that.
Okay, go ahead.
He ended up in New York and did have a candy bar named after him.
Oh, so Babe Ruth?
No, Jesus. Babe Ruth was not alive in the 1970s.
Oh yeah, you're right. I forgot about that part. I was choosing different things to ignore, different parts of the question to ignore. So he did end up in New York and got a candy bar named after him.
That's why the question works, is because he was in New York, and he had a candy bar named after him, and that's the bit was he had said before he got to New York, if I played in New York, they'd name a candy.
Obviously, he didn't play in the 70s.
I don't know that this guy had a candy bar named after him. That's the ultimate. That's really what the story is here.
Crunch.
No. It's a candy bar that was named after him, not that shares a name. He was named
Mickey Mantle. M&Ms.
No. God, Mickey Mantle did not play in
I
New
know
York in the 1970s.
I know. Well, I'm just trying to. I'm trying to get to the answer. I'm trying to get to the bottom of this here. I can't. This is why I don't think out loud around you because evidently I can't think.
You ready?
No. Skittle. No. I guess that's not a candy bar either.
You're trying to come up. You don't know. You clearly don't know the candy bar. If you knew the candy bar, the answer. You don't know the candy bar.
Milky Way.
No, it's
Snickers.
No, it's not one of those.
Twix?
It was called a Reggie bar because it was named after Reggie Jackson. Lord.
Said it.
That went well.
A Reggie bar? Are they good?
I don't think I ever had a Reggie bar. Certainly didn't. They didn't make them in Baltimore during the year he was here. I know that much.
Maybe they should have.
Is there no? Did they already do all the Olympics this morning? Is that what happened? I'm already starting to hate this app. I'm just realizing.
This is Peacock, or is this the Olympics?
Peacock.
Oh, this is Peacock.
They already did it all.
Top Olympics.
No,
What time is it
Hang
there?
on a
It's
second.
it's like
It
what,
says
6
that-
o'clock?
It says there is curling coming up today. Oh, but not U.S. curling. But at 1 o'clock, there's going to be some curling. We're going to watch. What are we picking? We picking Canada, Czechia, Estonia, Switzerland, Great Britain, Norway, or Sweden, South Korea? Where are we going? We're definitely watching curling coming up at 1 o'clock today. That's
Let's
happening.
do Canada, right?
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Canada or Sweden. I'll take one of those matches.
Very good. All right, let's get a tidbit. Tidbit is brought to you today by the Stan the Fan Variety Hour. If you missed it earlier this week, Stan the Fan Charles, Andy Koska, the Baltimore Banner, talking Orioles. You can find that right now. Facebook.com/PressBoxSports. YouTube.com/PressBoxOnline. PressBoxOnline.com/video. As always, Stan shows are brought to you by the Costas Inn with two great locations. The original on North Point Boulevard in Dundalk. The new one at the Grandstand in Timonium.
We did national anthem lengths yesterday. How about
Gatorade?
Most,
Oh.
No, not Gatorade. Yeah, most colored
right.
Gatorade poured most.
Isn't there one that's like overwhelming?
I feel like it's grape. I think it's purple. Like
is usually the Super Bowl.
How about halftime shows? Who has performed? Individual artists who have performed the halftime show the most. There's two people that have done it 3 times.
Oh, are they? This is the question. Like, are they counting when they were in groups too?
I think so. Yes.
So Justin Timberlake.
Timberlake is one of them.
I know Beyonce did it twice. Is there a chance she did it a third time? Beyonce?
She only did it twice.
Only did it twice.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people have done it twice.
5 people have done it twice. So Mary J. Blige? No, she did it twice.
No, she didn't do it. Apparently not only once.
I'm pretty sure she was on the. All right, I'll leave that alone. I'm pretty sure she did it again. So I'm feeling like these have to predate. I mean, obviously Kendrick did it twice.
Oh, she was in that 22.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right, so technically twice. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. I don't think it was 3 times, but like they're missing that.
And then 2000. That was the Ravens Super Bowl.
Yes, the Aerosmith, the Britney Spears, the one that we were talking about the other day.
In Sync.
Yeah. I know I'm right. There's things. Obviously, I know Super Bowl halftime shows, but I'm struggling with this one. I'll try to think of somebody who would have. How about Stevie Wonder?
Stevie Wonder twice.
How about
in '99? He was alongside the only other person to appear 3 times.
'99. Gloria Stefan.
Gloria Stefan.
Okay.
Yes. 92, 95, and '99. Her
Okay.
and Timberlake.
I mean, you got to understand, like, at a certain point, the Super Bowl halftime show was not, like, people didn't care. Like, it was just...
What's wrong with people?
Like, it was just... I think there were definitely years they didn't even broadcast it. Like, it was only for the people in the stadium.
What were they thinking?
Because it wasn't a big...
3 others have done it twice.
Michael Jackson changed that. Michael Jackson is the
What year was
reason
he?
why 91, if I remember correctly.
Okay, so basically
was
that's
in
when it started
Pasadena.
mattering after the 90s.
Like
Or
that
in the
was
90s.
it was the first time that it was like a pop culture event. Was the Super. Before that, it was just something that they did, more or less. Who else has done it twice? I said Stevie Wonder, I said Kendrick, and we got Mary J. Blige. So how many more are there?
2 more then.
2 more that have done it twice. Oh, Bruno.
Yep, Bruno
Yeah.
Mars. 14 and 16.
And who else did it twice? That's a good question. Who else did it twice? How about Diana Ross?
Not Diana Ross.
How about James Brown?
Not James Brown. Okay, yeah. Okay, Diana Ross halftime only one. She apparently did the national anthem in '82.
Oh,
so.
okay. How about that?
We mentioned his Super Bowl already, or one of them, I guess I should say. Yeah.
Mentioned his Super Bowl already, or one of his Super Bowls already. We mentioned it. I don't. We already mentioned it because somebody else was on the same halftime show. Was it Snoop Dogg?
No.
Was it? Mentioned his Super Bowl. This is gonna drive me nuts. Was it? God, I don't know.
Mary J was there. JT was there.
Oh, Nelly?
Nelly, yes.
When else did he do the?
04 and 01.
It was 04. Was that the Justin Timberlake, Janet Jackson fiasco?
I guess so. Yeah.
It was 04. I don't remember him being. I remember Kid Rock being a part of it. I did not remember him being a part of it. Lord, what a debacle that was.
Yeah. Timberlake, Rock, Janet Jackson, and somebody else. Yeah.
Who else?
Somebody else. Yeah. Just
R. Kelly.
Diddy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Somebody else. I get it. All right. Very good. Here's what's coming up totally tubular-wise tonight. Tubular is brought to you by the best of issue of Press Box. A few, I'd say a week and a half remaining for this before it's gone, so go get it for free at your Baltimore area High's Dairy stores, any of the locations around town where you find Press Box. You can read it all, PressBoxOnline.com. A little bit going on. As I mentioned, the Olympics technically begin today. There's still some curling coming up on Peacock that you can check out. And then tomorrow morning, I think the first curling, USA curling, is at like 4 o'clock tomorrow morning. So obviously we're all setting our alarms, and clearly we're going to have a watch party, 4 a.m. tomorrow for the first match. ESPN Plus tonight, Lehigh Loyola at 7, Navy's at Lafayette at 7. Big Ten Network Plus Maryland is at Michigan State on the women's side at 6:30. Everything else, go to GlennClarkRadio.com and find it there. Non-sports?
We got a couple. Abbott Elementary, of course. Netflix has Is It Cake? Valentine's Day special.
My kids love Is It Cake?
Well, we got a Valentine's special.
I've never watched. And I keep trying to explain to them, like, how do you win?
Well, because it's cake.
Because it is cake? Well, then why are these people making things that aren't cake?
And if it's not cake and you get it right, then they give you a cake. And
I don't know.
I don't know how it works.
Get it.
I don't know how it works.
Don't get it.
The
Not for me.
Muppets. The Muppet Show is back.
That's right. That's why Kermit was on Kimmel.
That's
last
right.
week.
Yeah,
so
featuring the first guest on the new the first episode of Muppet Show, Sabrina Carpenter. So, should be a good one tonight after Abbott on ABC.
One of the questions at Trivia on Monday was, what are the 5 highest-grossing films that Rob Reiner directed? Our movie guy only went 3 for 5. But because I kept saying to him, like, this is always the problem we get movie gross questions, is that, like, movie grosses went up, if not adjusted for inflation, they went up so dramatically much in the 21st century that you always have, like, even great iconic movies. Like, I tell you, I want to say A Few Good Men was not on the list.
Really?
Which is an iconic film, but it was not in the top 5, and instead, like, The Bucket List was in the top 5, and you're like, I hate it here. Like, I hate it here. But it's just the nature of it coming out.
But
in
you're
the
still
21st
blaming your
century.
movie guy.
Oh, it's our movie guy failed. Okay. It's a failure. We hate him. But I say that to say, at one point, for no reason at all, I was like, hey, what has he done in the 21st century? And, like, we all remember he was in Wolf of Wall Street, but obviously he did not direct Wolf of Wall Street because we know Martin Scorsese did. And I don't know why, but one of the other guys on the team was like, did he ever do a Muppet movie?
And he did not, right?
No, he definitely did not do a Muppet movie. But it
you
became
brought
this
this up, and I was like,
it became a theme for the rest of the night.
I was like, I clearly don't know anything about
like
Rob Reiner, I
during
guess. I thought I
during
didn't know
breaks,
much, but-
our buddy was just like looking up other celebrities hanging out with the Muppets and being like, I bet Rob Reiner feels stupid that he didn't ever do that. Look how much fun they're having. It's just a dumb bit, man. Dumb
good bit. And then the Coach Vic experience on
right,
on
following
Black
him
Entertainment,
at where was he? Norfolk State.
Yeah, Norfolk State. So that series premieres tonight at 10 on Bet.
You'll never guess who in the trailer they show him zooming in with to talk about it.
Who?
Deion Sanders.
Right, yeah. Sorry, I thought I was thinking Zoom, like the camera zoom.
No,
and I was like,
no, on a Zoom.
They lost to Towson week 1, so maybe Towson will be featured.
Maybe
in the first episode. Here.
Maybe
Yeah,
that was when we still thought there were going to be great things coming for Towson.
Maybe. Yep.
Not the case. All right. Thanks today to Bob Nightengale. Thanks also to Patrick Stevens. We'll get that up in the greatest hits section of the.
Kate Hudson and Michael Irvin will be on Kimmel tonight.
Exactly. They're going on tour together, in fact.
Really? Well,
later
Ethan
this
Hawke,
year.
Miles Garrett, and Nick Jonas on Fallon.
They're also all going on tour together. Yeah.
Jeez.
So it's two great. Can't miss those.
Just put names in a hat.
Tomorrow on the program, Ken Davidoff is going to join us, longtime MLB writer. He's got a new book out. And then, I don't know. We got to figure out how this is going to work. But apparently, I'm going to pay off some of my bet from
most of it, yeah.
From when I lost picks, because Jeremy's going to come in and is going to wax me. But, like, I have to be able to keep the jobs that I have. Like, I can't.
Why?
I know.
You lost.
I know. I understand. So we got to figure out how this is going to. I don't know how this is going to work. And like an idiot, I don't have a plan. So we'll figure it out. I mean, I'm willing to do it. Like, I'm willing to do it, but I don't know how it's going to work. We'll discuss that. Thanks, everybody at PressBox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including Live Casino and Hotel, Volo Sports, Nick's Fish House, your Baltimore area highest dairy stores, 1-800-GAMBLER, helpmygamblingproblem.org, the Costas Inn, countysports.zone, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com, and more. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass. Follow us, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great Wednesday evening. Go Loyola, go Navy, go Maryland women. Duke sucks.